The knock on my door arrived at 8:51 in the evening on a Saturday. In that very instant, everything I believed about love, loyalty, and family shattered into pieces. My name is Rachel, and I am about to share how losing my husband and son taught me the cruelest lesson of my life: that blood relations do not guarantee family bonds. Sometimes the very people expected to care most will leave you alone when you are in greatest need. This is not merely a sorrowful tale. It reveals what unfolds when grief exposes the harsh truths behind the comforting stories we tell ourselves about those closest to us. It is about realizing that some will choose a vacation instead of being present at a child's funeral. And it is about finding courage to step away from toxic ties, even when they are disguised as family. Sean and I shared 15 years together. 15 years filled with a love that sparked envy in others. He was 39, employed at the downtown bank, and could endlessly share stories about fishing without pause. Yet his true joy was our son, Ethan, and me. Ethan was 12, earned straight A grades, was a champion in Little League baseball, and still believed his parents could solve anything. We lived in a cozy home where Ethan's baseball awards decorated the mantelpiece and Sean's fishing magazines cluttered every surface. Sean had inherited an apartment downtown from his grandmother, but we had no use for it. So when my sister Vanessa and her husband Kevin mentioned they were having difficulty saving up for their own place, we decided to offer them a spot. Rent-free, because that is what family does, right? Family supports family. At least that is what I used to believe when I was naive enough to think family had real meaning. Vanessa is 3 years younger than me, and I always felt a protective instinct toward her. She had moved through relationships as if she was searching for something undefined. When she married Kevin 2 years ago, with his charming car salesman ways and her job as a receptionist at a dental office, I was genuinely happy for them. They did not earn much money, which is precisely why Sean and I wanted to help. My parents, Frank and Karen, lived 20 minutes away in the home where Vanessa and I were raised. Dad had retired from the post office, and Mom from working at the library. They were in their 60s, facing the usual challenges of aging, and I believed we shared a strong relationship. I called them regularly, assisted with groceries, and fixed things around their house when Dad's arthritis acted up. I was the perfect daughter, the dependable one who always showed up. That Saturday in January began like any typical weekend. Sean woke up bursting with excitement about taking Ethan fishing at Willow Lake. They had been planning the trip all week, studying weather forecasts like true meteorologists, and organizing their tackle boxes with exact care. They left around 8 in the morning, Sean's truck packed with enough equipment to catch plenty of fish. Every fish in the county, and a cooler filled with sandwiches I had prepared with extra care. I recall standing in the doorway, watching them drive away, feeling how incredibly fortunate I was and how flawless my little world seemed at that moment. I spent the day doing typical Saturday tasks, tidying up, doing laundry, and shopping for groceries. Around 5 in the evening, I began making dinner, expecting them to arrive any minute. Sean was very strict about bedtime habits, always mentioning they would be back by 6 since Ethan had homework. 6 o'clock passed, and then 7. I tried calling Sean's phone, but it immediately went to voicemail. Cell reception by the lake was unreliable, so I did not panic right away. By 8, I started pacing nervously, but reassured myself they probably lost track of time or had some car issues. Then the doorbell rang at 8:51, and my stomach plunged so suddenly I thought I might faint where I stood. When I opened the door and saw 2 police officers there, my body sensed something dreadful before my mind could grasp it. Officer Bradley and Officer Parker entered my living room. Bradley sat across from me while Parker stayed near the door. "Mrs. Clark, I am sorry to inform you that your husband and son were involved in a severe car crash this evening." Those words struck me like a heavy blow. "Are they all right? Where are they?" Bradley glanced down at his notepad, buying time, searching for words that were difficult to find. The accident happened at approximately 6:15 p.m. on Route 29, around 5 miles from Willow Lake. A drunk driver ran a red light and collided with your husband's truck on the driver's side. I whispered, my voice breaking, "Please tell me if they are alive." The officer said, "Ma'am, your husband was declared dead at the scene. I am very sorry." Suddenly the world became completely silent, as if someone had pressed a mute button on reality itself. Sean. That was impossible. He had kissed me goodbye that morning and promised to bring stories about all the fish they caught. What about Ethan? "Your son is alive but in critical condition. He sustained numerous injuries, including severe head trauma. He has been taken to St. Luke's Memorial Hospital and is now undergoing surgery." The next hours remained shattered in my memory like pieces of a broken mirror. Officer Parker drove me to the hospital while Bradley followed behind in my car. The waiting rooms were bathed in harsh fluorescent light that stung my eyes. Doctors in scrubs spoke words I wished I could forget. Traumatic brain injury, induced coma, touch and go. When I finally saw Ethan, he seemed so tiny in the hospital bed, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed, as if sharing conversations I could not understand. His head was wrapped in bandages, his face swollen and bruised beyond recognition. Dr. Murphy, a kind woman with weary eyes, explained they had relieved pressure on his brain, but could not predict when or if he would wake. I called my parents from That night at the hospital, Mom finally answered on the third ring, her voice rough with sleep. "Rachel, it is almost midnight. What is wrong?" I said, but then I was overcome with sobs so intense I could barely breathe. "Sweetheart, what has happened?" she asked. "Sean is gone. There was an accident. Ethan is in a coma." Silence followed. Then she whispered, "Oh my God." "Oh, Rachel, we will be there soon," she said. Yet they did not arrive immediately. Instead, they came the next morning looking uneasy and exhausted. Dad hugged me awkwardly, uncertain of how tightly to hold me. Mom touched my shoulder gently as if comforting a distant stranger. They stayed for exactly 1 hour, asked a few questions about what had occurred, and then said they needed to return home to make several phone calls. "We will assist with the funeral arrangements," Mom reassured me. "Do not worry about anything." However, when I called the following day to discuss planning Sean's service, Mom's tone had shifted. Her voice sounded distant and distracted. "Actually, dear, we cannot really help with the preparations. Vanessa and Kevin are moving into Sean's apartment this week, and we promised to help them settle in." Confused, I responded, "But Mom, Sean just died. The funeral should take precedence over helping them move." She replied, "Of course it should. But we already committed to this, and you know how Vanessa becomes when things change. We will attend the funeral, of course, just not assist with the planning." I ended the call feeling more alone than ever before. My husband was gone. My world shattered. My son was battling for his life, and meanwhile, my family was preoccupied with moving furniture. So I took it upon myself to arrange Sean's funeral entirely alone. Every single choice, from the funeral home to the flowers, the casket, the music, and the readings, I handled by myself. While my family focused on helping Vanessa and Kevin settle into Sean's apartment as if it were some kind of celebration, I was left carrying the weight of these decisions. The ceremony was modest, yet touching. People showed up. Sean's colleagues, our neighbors, and friends from Ethan's school. They spoke heartfelt words about Sean, recalling memories that brought a smile to my face despite my tears. My parents, Vanessa and Kevin, arrived at the very end, sat through the service looking as if they wished to be anywhere else, and left shortly afterward. After Sean passed away, I inherited everything he owned: the house, the downtown apartment, and his bank account containing $800,000. Sean had been wise with his finances and maintained excellent life insurance. For the first time in my life, money ceased to be a problem, which was the only bright spot amidst all the darkness surrounding me then. I cut my hours to part-time at my accounting job, since finances were no longer an issue, and I wanted to devote as much time as possible to Ethan. The doctor mentioned that coma patients might sometimes hear voices, so I read aloud to him every single day. Harry Potter, his favorite adventure stories, even his school assignments, I told him. "Your teacher says you're doing wonderfully in math," I said, while gently holding his small hand. "She is very proud of you. Saving all your tasks to do once you wake up." I shared everything with him: baseball scores, school events, and amusing things I spotted on TV. I spoke about his father and how proud Sean would be knowing Ethan was trying so hard. Yet Ethan never replied. His breathing remained calm, his heartbeat steady, but he never squeezed my hand or gave any indication he could hear me. 6 months slipped by in a haze of routine. Mornings were filled with work, afternoons at the hospital, and lonely nights at home. Vanessa and Kevin grew comfortable in the apartment. They would sometimes call to express gratitude for letting them stay, yet they never inquired about Ethan's condition or if I required any help. My parents came to see Ethan exactly 3 times during those 6 months. Each visit lasted about 20 minutes before they came up with reasons to leave. "Hospitals make me uneasy," Mom would explain. "Your father's arthritis is flaring up." One Tuesday morning in July, Dr. Murphy called me while I was reviewing quarterly reports at work. Her voice sent a chill through my veins. "Mrs. Clark, I need you to come in immediately." I dropped everything and rushed to the hospital, my heart pounding against my chest. Dr. Murphy met me outside Ethan's room, and her expression told me the news could not be good. "Mrs. Clark, I am deeply sorry. Ethan passed away about an hour ago. His body simply could no longer continue to fight." The words struck me like another crash, another impact that shattered the fragile remains of my life. I actually stumbled backward and had to steady myself against the wall to avoid falling. Yet he remained stable. Just yesterday, he looked exactly the same as he always did. Sometimes, with brain injuries this critical, the body simply surrenders. There was nothing more we could do. "I am so sorry." I entered Ethan's room and held him one last time. He appeared calm, as if merely asleep. I kept waiting for him to open his eyes and ask what was wrong, but that moment never came. My little boy was gone. I drove home in a daze and sat in my lonely house for hours, crying until no tears remained. Then I lifted the phone and called my parents. "Mom, Ethan passed away today." There was a pause. "Oh, Rachel, I am sorry to hear that." Her tone was flat and almost professional, not the voice of a grandmother mourning her grandson. "I need help with the funeral plans. I cannot handle this alone again." She replied, "That is going to be difficult. We cannot assist with that, nor will we be able to attend the funeral." I thought I had misheard her. "What?" I asked. "Tomorrow we leave for Mexico with Vanessa and Kevin for a family trip. We have planned this for months." I pleaded, "Mom, my son just died. Your grandson died. Surely you can rearrange your plans." She answered firmly, "Absolutely not. Do you know how much money was spent on this trip? $8,000? The vouchers cannot be changed, or we will lose everything." I couldn't believe it. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. "You are choosing a vacation over Ethan's funeral. Rachel, you are a strong woman. You will get through this on your own, just like you did with Sean's funeral. You do not really need us there." Then she ended the call. I sat frozen, staring at the phone, feeling as if I had been hit hard in the stomach. Before I could even make sense of what had just happened, my phone rang once more. It was Vanessa. She said, "Rachel, Mom just called me. Look, I am truly sorry about Ethan, but there is no way we will cancel this trip. Her tone had no trace of remorse. Instead, it was irritated. I replied, Vanessa, this is Ethan's funeral. He is your nephew, and his death concerns you, not me. She snapped back, I am pregnant, okay? This might be my last opportunity to unwind and enjoy myself before the baby arrives. I have been eagerly waiting for this trip for months, and I am not sacrificing it because your son has died. Her harshness left me speechless. There is no justification for you to expect us to cancel our holiday. We have already paid for everything, and I need this break, so handle your own issues and leave us be. Then she hung up as well. I sat alone in my living room, engulfed in silence. Within 10 minutes, my family made it unmistakably clear that a vacation mattered more to them than my deceased child, that I was utterly isolated in this world. Yet in that moment of total abandonment, something shifted inside me. For the first time since Sean's accident, my thoughts were completely clear. I knew exactly what needed to be done. First, I had to bury my son. Then, I would face my family. I reached out to my friend Susan, who arrived right away. Together, we arranged Ethan's funeral. Just like with Sean, I took charge of all the arrangements myself. But this time, I did not expect my family to attend. Ethan's funeral took place on a Thursday morning. It was an intimate gathering, just me, Susan, a handful of Sean's colleagues who remembered Ethan, and Mrs. Davis, Ethan's teacher, who had traveled an hour to be present. The pastor spoke about Ethan reuniting with his father in heaven, and I tried to find solace in that idea. I did not shed tears during the service. I had already cried enough at home. Instead, I experienced an unusual calmness, feeling as if I were observing the scene rather than living it. When they lowered Ethan's small coffin beside Sean's grave, I stood there thinking about how my whole family was vacationing on a beach in Mexico while I buried my child. After the funeral, I went straight to work. There were tasks to accomplish, and I needed to handle them alone. The first stop was Sean's apartment where Vanessa and Kevin lived. Naturally, I had the key since it was my apartment. I let myself inside and began packing their things meticulously. Clothes, books, kitchen items, even that unattractive lamp Kevin's mother had given them. I packed it all into boxes and trash bags, working silently and systematically. It took me 3 hours to pack up their entire life. While I was working, my mind drifted to the thought that they were probably enjoying drinks by the pool at that very moment, sharing photos on social media and living it up. Meanwhile, I sat alone at my son's funeral. I contacted a moving company and paid extra to have them come the same day. I instructed them to move everything to my parents' house. But instead of organizing things neatly, I had the movers dump everything into a single heap in the middle of the living room carpet. Boxes, bags, and loose belongings all thrown together without care. After that, I called a locksmith and arranged for all the locks in the apartment to be replaced. Brand new deadbolt, door handle, and everything else. Vanessa and Kevin's keys no longer worked. Then I went back home, opened my laptop, and logged into my bank account to start canceling automatic payments. Over the years, I had been covering many expenses for my family, so much that I had almost forgotten some of them. My parents' car insurance cancellation went through smoothly. Their health insurance supplement was canceled as well. I also stopped the subscription for Dad's woodworking magazine. Mom's Netflix account, which she always struggled to manage payments for, was canceled too. I ended the monthly payments I made on their credit card to help with groceries. Vanessa's phone bill was canceled next, followed by her car payment that I had been supporting since she got married. The gym membership I bought her as a wedding present was also discontinued. As I continued working through each account, I felt a mix of relief and sorrow, knowing this marked a new chapter and an end all in one. While canceling those payments, I suddenly recalled the reason I began covering these expenses initially. Car insurance became my responsibility when Dad retired and finances became tight. The phone bill fell to me when Vanessa could not secure a job after finishing college. I took on the car loan payment as a wedding present because I wanted to support them as they began their life together free of debt. I had been incredibly generous to my family, always ready to help whenever money was needed. I fully funded Vanessa's wedding, spending $23,000 because I wanted her special day to be perfect. When Mom needed new glasses last year, I bought them. When Dad's truck required repairs, I paid for those too. Looking over all those canceled payments, it hit me. Every month for 4 full years, I was sending about $3,000 to my family. During this time, my phone lit up with notifications. Vanessa was sharing pictures from their trip to Mexico on Instagram and Facebook. She and Kevin appeared on the beach with deep tans and bright smiles. My parents posed at a seaside restaurant, joyful and clinking glasses. Vanessa's caption read, "So thankful to be here with my wonderful family who supports me in everything." I saved a screenshot of every post and caption. I wanted to hold on to this moment, this stark realization of who they truly were. 3 days went by. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner alone, and waited. I knew they would return from Mexico soon, and strangely, I actually felt eager to see them again. On Sunday evening, my phone began to ring. First, it was my parents calling. Then, Vanessa called first, then Kevin, and finally my parents kept trying over and over. I ignored every phone call. I was sitting in the living room sorting through Ethan's things to donate to charity, letting the phone ring endlessly. After about an hour of no response, the voicemail began. It was Mom's voice, filled with frustration. She said, "Rachel, what did you do to Vanessa's apartment? Why are all their belongings here? Call me back right now." I erased every message without fully listening and then blocked their numbers. Despite that, they didn't stop trying. Around 10 o'clock, I heard cars pulling up to my driveway, followed by loud knocking on the door. Vanessa was yelling, "Rachel, open this door right now." I looked out the window and saw all 4 of them standing on my porch, looking furious, bewildered, and exhausted from their journey. Vanessa hit the door repeatedly with her fist. I took a deep breath and approached the door. This conversation was inevitable, and I was prepared. I opened the door and faced their expressions. Vanessa's face was flushed with anger. Kevin seemed ashamed. My parents looked like they would rather be anywhere else. Mom pushed past me and said, "We need to talk." They all entered my living room and stood there staring at me as if I had done something unforgivable. Vanessa demanded sharply, "What did you think you were doing?" She looked around at their belongings strewn everywhere in Mom and Dad's house like trash and added, "Our stuff is thrown all over like garbage, and we cannot—" I entered our apartment and looked at her calmly. "This is no longer your place. I have changed the locks. You are officially evicted." Vanessa was stunned, unable to speak. "You cannot do this to us. We have legal rights." "Actually, I can. This is my apartment. I inherited it after Sean passed away. I allowed you to stay rent-free as a favor, but that favor has ended." Vanessa stepped forward, her tone sharp. "Look, I understand you are upset about Ethan, all right? But that does not give you permission to ruin our lives. We have nowhere else to go. You should have considered that before you said my son's death was my problem, not yours." The room fell into heavy silence. Vanessa seemed as if she wanted to vanish from sight. She realized exactly what she had told me, and she knew I had not forgotten a single word. "I was angry," Vanessa admitted weakly. "I did not mean it the way it sounded. You told me my son's passing was my issue, not yours. You said you needed to unwind before your baby arrived, so Ethan's funeral did not matter enough to disrupt your trip." My mother stepped forward then. Rachel, you are going too far. We know you are hurt, but family does not treat one another like this. I almost laughed at the idea of family. Family? Do you really think we are family? Of course we are, my dad said. We have had struggles, but we can work them out. Suddenly Vanessa's eyes gleamed with calculation. Now I see everything clearly. You wanted to teach me a lesson, and I get it. So now you can hand me the keys to the new apartment. Right? No, I said simply. Her expression dropped. What do you mean? No, I mean my decision is final. You don't live in my apartment anymore. Find somewhere else. But I'm pregnant, Vanessa shouted. We have nowhere to go. You cannot just throw a pregnant woman out on the street. You should have thought about that before you chose Mexico instead of attending my son's funeral. Vanessa looked at me for a moment, then her face twisted with obvious hatred. I know what this is really about. You're jealous because I am expecting a baby and your son is gone. The room became utterly silent. Even Kevin appeared stunned. You've lost your mind because Ethan died, and now you're taking it out on me because I am pregnant and happy. You cannot handle that I am moving forward with my life while you remain stuck mourning a child who was not even all that special. At that moment, I felt a cold, definite feeling settle inside of me. Get out, all of you. Leave my house this instant. Mom tried to mend the situation. Rachel, Vanessa is right that you're not thinking clearly. You are grieving and making choices that will damage our family forever. I am thinking clearly. I am calmer now than I have been in months. And since Vanessa is correct that I've lost my mind, maybe you should stay away from me. Leave. What about the money? Mom suddenly asked. You cannot just stop supporting us financially. We rely on your help. There it was. The true reason they came. Not because they missed me or wanted to say sorry. Because I stopped covering their expenses, I canceled every automatic payment. Your car insurance, your health supplements, your credit card bills, Vanessa's phone bill, her car payments, her gym subscription. All of it ended. You are responsible now. Mom began to cry, genuinely upset. Rachel, please, she said. We cannot handle all this alone. We are retired and live on a limited income. You had $8,000 set aside for a trip to Mexico. Find a way to manage. Eventually, they left. Vanessa continued shouting about how unfair I was and threatened to hire a lawyer. I locked the door behind them and felt a burden lift after years of strain. 2 weeks went by calmly. They attempted to reach me through various phone numbers, but I blocked everyone. I disregarded emails and letters. I did not answer when they came to my door. Then Vanessa made a serious error. She posted on Facebook, accusing me of cruelty and spitefulness. She wrote extensively, claiming I threw my pregnant sister out and cut my elderly parents off financially just because they took a vacation. She cast herself as the victim and portrayed me as a monster suffering a mental collapse. Her friends reacted with anger toward my supposed behavior. How could anyone treat their own family like that? One comment read, "Pregnant women deserve care, not harshness," while others expressed similar outrage. But then different voices joined the discussion. People who remembered that Ethan had passed away, those who attended Sean's funeral, and individuals who understood the timeline started to comment too. They were not present at Ethan's funeral, wrote Mrs. Davis, Ethan's teacher. Yet he was their grandson and nephew. More and more individuals began to connect the dots. Family, friends, neighbors, members of the church all started questioning why Vanessa's family was on vacation during a child's funeral. Eventually, I wrote a single comment. Just one. Vanessa, you are right that our family ties are broken. They became broken when you, Kevin, Mom, and Dad decided to take a vacation instead of attending my 12-year-old son's funeral. You told me his passing was my concern, not yours, and that your holiday was more important than bidding farewell to Ethan. I hope Mexico was worth it. After that, the comments erupted. People were shocked. Vanessa's post completely backfired, and she removed it within hours, but screenshots had already been spread everywhere. Half a year has gone by. Since then, I have not communicated with any of them. I rented out Sean's apartment to a friendly young couple who pay the standard rent. I quit my job and started traveling, something Sean and I always dreamed of, but never found the time for. I have visited Ireland, Italy, and Japan. Once this trip is over, I plan to move to Colorado. I have always adored the mountains, and nothing ties me to my hometown anymore. People ask if I miss my family. The honest truth is no. I miss the family I believed I had, but that family never truly existed. The real family, the one that chose a child's funeral over a vacation, does not appeal to me at all. I am now 38 years old, and for the first time in my adult life, I feel truly liberated. Liberated from those who exploited my kindness, who prioritized wealth and ease over affection and loyalty. I have the freedom to start anew in a place filled with people who genuinely care about me. Often, those expected to love you the most will reveal their true nature when you desperately need them. Sometimes, this revelation becomes the greatest blessing, granting you the clarity to leave and find your genuine family among those who show up when it truly counts. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your soul, please share it with others who might need to hear it. Remember to leave a comment and subscribe for more stories about finding courage in our darkest hours and realizing that some of the most painful farewells bring us the peace we never imagined we needed. Family is not always defined by blood. It is made up of those in your life who want you as much as you want them.